our webinars, and we
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our last webinar of the year focused on thank you strategies to drive more donations. During today's webinar, we will help you create surefire ways to express your gratitude towards your biggest advocates, donors. Expressing your appreciation towards your loyal supporters is the most effective and efficient way to create impactful donor relations and drive more revenue through recurring giving. We also want to encourage your participation in today's webinar, so submit any and all questions you have throughout the presentation into the questions box in your control panel. At the end, we'll have some time for Q&A with our experts. We hope that you enjoy today's presentation, and for your reference, we'll send a recording and the slides to all registrants via email after the webinar. So now let me introduce today's panel of experts. First, we'll hear from Julia Campbell, who's run her digital marketing consulting business for almost a decade, focused exclusively on mission-driven organizations. A mom of two and a returned Peace Corps volunteer, she is the author of Storytelling in the Digital Age, a guide for nonprofits, which is a call to action for nonprofits to use stories to accomplish their mission. Her passion is to get nonprofits of all sizes to stop spinning their wheels on social media and to start getting real results using digital tools. And then next, we'll hear from Christy Noel, who's VP of Digital Marketing Services here at Mobile Cause. And Christy advises and guides Mobile Cause customers with digital fundraising and donor engagement strategies and has empowered countless customers to accelerate their efforts through the help of nonprofit technology. We have an action-packed agenda for you today, where our speakers are going to cover first 5 ways to thank and recognize your donors, then using digital and social reach to reach more donors, then campaign reporting and thanking strategies, and followed by donor data segmentation. All right, so before we dive in, I have our first poll of the day, and go ahead and let us know by choosing directly from your screen, do you have a donor thank you strategy? So select yes or no, and go ahead and hit submit there in that polling interface. I'll leave this open for another 10 or 15 seconds just to get everybody's responses in, and then I'll share the results with you. Excellent. Going once, going twice, and I'll close this out. Wow, very nice even split here. Look at that, Julia. 70% yes, 30% no. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm surprised to see such a high number, honestly, just based on the organizations that I work with. But I think that, I think that it's really helpful. I think that organizations spend a lot of time on donor acquisition and not nearly enough time on donor retention and cultivation and acknowledgement. So we never can say thank you too many times. That's one thing that your donors will never, ever be sick of hearing from you. So I think it's interesting. But for the 30%, hopefully we will give you some tips and tools and tricks, some ideas for some ways that you can thank your donors more easily.
Indeed, and we look forward to hearing from you. So I'll go ahead and pass controls over to you, and the floor is yours.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be here today with Mobile Cause and GoToWebinar to talk about some of my favorite ways, some proven, tried and true tactics to thank and recognize your donors. And because you're on this webinar, you do understand that your donors are the lifeblood of your organization. For those organizations that don't rely on donors, I envy you. And I think I don't know how you sustain your revenue, but there are organizations that do that. But for those of us that rely on supporters, rely on individual donors, we need to create some more interesting, unique strategies that will capture attention, that will grab our donors, that will bring them in, and that will really continue to deepen the relationship with them. Because it is all about relationship and community building. So the first thing I want to talk about is donor attrition. It is horrifying. This is a study from Blackbaud. I know there are a lot of studies that happen with end of year giving, and a lot of studies are going to come out in the next couple of months. But the latest study that I read that 90% of first-time donors are being lost on an annual basis, and that 59% drop off the radar each year on average. So let me pose a scenario to you. If you were losing 90% of your Facebook fans every single year, or 90% of your email list every single year, or 90% of your volunteers every single year, and you feel like you almost had to start from scratch every single year, you better believe that you would be paying attention. So why don't we do more to use the tools at our disposal, digital tools, social media, even just thank you calls, coffees, events? Why don't we do more to really make our donors feel appreciated and feel thanked? So my goal in teaching people how to use storytelling and digital tools, that's what I do, is really to help people and nonprofits use them to retain more of the donors that care about them, to retain more of the people in the community that want to hear from them, that like what they have to say, that have raised their hands and said, we want to be a part of this, but the reason we're leaving is that we don't feel like we are a part of it. So there really are three things all donors need. Now, every donor is different, but in my studies on donor retention and donor communication, there really are three things all donors need. Number one, probably the most important, they have to receive a timely and meaningful acknowledgement of their gift. So if you're a new director of development, if you are a new marketing director, if you are a new communications director, if you're interacting with donors, if you're handling donations in any way, you have to set up either your automation software, your email software, or even just call a donor on the phone, write them a thank you note. There has to be a way that they get a timely and meaningful acknowledgement of their gift. Now, Mark Pittman says within 90 days. Mark Pittman, who is a fundraising guru, but I think that's even a little bit too long. 90 days is kind of the standard, but this isn't, a wedding where you have a year to give a gift. Like, you really have to acknowledge that donor immediately, because the donor is going to forget why they gave, especially if they are a third-party donor. They're giving because someone else asked them. They were giving because someone had a fundraiser. They gave because they came to an event. Especially if they're a third-party donor, they need that timely and meaningful. That means more than just a tax receipt, right? They have to trust you to be a good steward of their funds. So that's why thanking, acknowledging, giving them the information, the stories, the resources all year long, not just when you need donations. So we're talking about the long-term strategy here. This is the long plan. This is the plan that you're going to use all year long. That will help increase and solidify and build that trust and affinity that shows that you're a good steward of their funds. It will also help remind them why they were inspired to give to you in the first place. Number three, they have to understand that their gift made an impact and what the impact was. So it's not even enough to just say thank you, and it's certainly not enough to say thank you. We're an organization that's been around for 65 years, and here's the data, and here is this. They need to hear a story from you. They need to understand the impact of their gift. They need to see, ideally, what it helped accomplish. One of the most effective and impactful ways to do this is through video. And I spend a lot of my time talking about video. I'm almost like a video evangelist. You know that you need to do video. No one on this webinar is shaking their head and saying, oh, this is a brand new idea. This is revolutionary. It's not revolutionary, but what I think nonprofits don't understand about video is that it doesn't have to be this really expensive, overly produced, edited masterpiece. Certainly, it can be. So you have to think about context when you think about video. Are you creating a video for a capital campaign where you're going to raise $150 million? Then yeah, you probably have to spend a little money on your video. Are you showing the video at a $250 a plate gala? Yes, you probably have to spend some money on your video. But if you're doing thank you videos for your donors in the moment, if you're creating video throughout the year to share, to really bring people into the kitchen and humanize your brand and show them what you're doing, you really can use your phone. And I think that videos that showcase your staff, showcase what's going on in the field, like I said before, bring people into the kitchen, that's giving people the number three, the donors, the number three thing that they want, which is showing them what their gift helped accomplish. So this is almost like sort of the way I teach my children to say thank you. So they write a thank you note. And then throughout the year, if there's an opportunity, say their grandmother gave them a sweater, I'll take a picture of them in the sweater. I will talk about how the sweater, she got a bunch of compliments on the sweater. So that's just an example of how you can really use that one gift and thank people year round by showing them the impact. The real key with video is expressing yourself authentically, getting that wide variety of voices, your staff, your volunteers, your board members, your clients, capturing that emotion, inspiring people, getting people inspired. So with all of these different ways to thank your donors, what we're doing is we are creating a community. We're building a community. So social media and digital tools can no longer be used simply for promotion. They never really could be used for that, but people used to think they could be used for that. They can't be used for simple promotion anymore. We have to be building a community of people that are proud to be part of what we do. Also, video is such a great way to launch a fundraising campaign because video is the most engaged with type of content on social media. It's the most viewed, it's the most watched, it's the most looked at, it's the most shared. So sharing video across social media platforms will help you get in front of more of your donors. And hopefully, if it's a video that people want to share, it will get people, new people on board, your donors, friends and family, and networks. I love live streaming video for nonprofits, and there's two major reasons why I think you should explore live streaming for your nonprofit if you don't already. One is the authenticity factor. It's really, you're really making yourself vulnerable. It's in the moment. There's nothing more inviting than showing me what you're doing right now. It increases transparency, it increases accountability, it knocks down that image of the nonprofit in an ivory tower somewhere that's doing their work and that doesn't want anybody to know, sort of in secret. So it really brings your donors closer to you, shows them exactly what's going on, and it also inspires a lot of interaction. And number two, live video is the most popular kind of video that you can create and share, especially on Facebook. So this video was on Periscope, which was on Twitter. And the advantage of going live on Twitter is that if I log into Twitter and I follow your organization on Twitter, your little circle will show up at the top of my Twitter feed and it will say, No Kid Hungry is live right now. So I'll get a notification that you're live, which is kind of the promotion and publicity that you really can't buy. So on Giving Tuesday, I did see a lot of organizations doing this, but I loved what No Kid Hungry did. They did a wall of thanks and they filmed this one wall live all day. And then they had staff members that went up to the wall at various points and thanked different groups of people, put some names up on the wall, and you kind of saw the wall growing all day. And you wanted your name on that wall. You want to be part of that community. It just is sort of, this is what we do. This is us. You want to be a part of it. I really like that. You can also embed video in your emails, and studies have shown that just even a screenshot of your email with the little play button increases video views and email opens and click rates exponentially. So if you have a great thank you video, it's something you can repurpose across all of your channels. You can put it on Facebook and put a clip of it on Instagram. You can put it on Twitter, LinkedIn. You can put it in your email. You can put it on your website. So having a video, a thank you video like this, is a great way to spread the love and show the love, but also it's a great piece of content for you that you can then showcase across multiple channels. Okay, another way that you can thank donors using the digital tools at your disposal, create a Facebook ad. So you have that great thank you video that you made, or you're going to make one. Maybe you have a fantastic photo, a fantastic story that you want to share. You can purchase a Facebook ad and show it to more of your donors. What I don't want you to do, this is what I do not want people to do. I don't want you to purchase a bunch of Facebook ads and spray them out to random strangers who've never heard of you and ask for donations that way. That doesn't work. That does not work. It works if you are raising money for a natural disaster, or if you're raising money for a cause that's been in the news, or if you have a celebrity that is promoting you. Those are really the only ways that targeting complete strangers works. Like, it really doesn't work. So what you want to do is you want to target your audience on Facebook, and Facebook has an incredibly robust ad platform that will enable you to do it. So the way that you do it is you upload your donor list, or you could upload any list. You can do this with pretty much any target audience, but for our purposes, you're going to upload your donor list to Facebook, and then you're going to create your ad, and you're going to target the ad to your custom audience. And if your donors are on Facebook, if the emails from your donor list match the Facebook accounts, then your ad will be served to those people. And I have to be honest with you, people ask me, oh, well, won't my donors not like that? They're not going to like being served an ad. They're going to get annoyed. If it's a thank you, they are not going to be annoyed. They are not going to be unhappy about getting a thank you. Also, the chances of them seeing your Facebook ad, your Twitter post, an email, your website, all of those, the chances of them even seeing one of those are incredibly low, right? We know about Facebook organic reach, we know about Twitter reach, we know about email open rates. So the more channels, if you can use multiple channels to thank your donors, and if you can target your communications using things like paid ads and these advanced tools, the better. I think it will work really, really well. The key with a Facebook ad is you have to have an eye-catching image, ideally with no text over it. And the text that you do put in the ad has to be very compelling to get people to look at it. But it's a thank you ad. You're not asking anybody to do anything, right? You're thanking them. Oops, I went too far. I clicked too much. Let me just go back to my Facebook ad examples. So several ways that you could use Facebook ads, or even Twitter ads or LinkedIn ads. I choose Facebook ads because they tend to be the easiest to use. We tend to have the biggest audiences on Facebook. Facebook has 2 billion people, and their ad platform is one of the easiest to use. LinkedIn ads are very expensive, and you can also integrate Instagram ads with your Facebook ads because it's all done through the one platform. So what I would do is I would promote things like showcasing your results. If you have a great graphic that is showcasing your results for the year, if you have a story where you can really demonstrate your impact, like the Greater Boston Food Bank, they shared stories all throughout the day on Giving Tuesday, leading to their donate page, but they shared stories of hope. You could share stories of hope, do a thank you campaign at year end, and you can do it as a fundraising campaign, or you can just do it as a thank you for participating. Thank you for making this possible, and just increasing that sense of making me feel proud and making me feel happy to support you, and hopefully inspiring me enough that I will share it. You can also use Twitter in this way. This is not a Facebook ad, but I like the way that they used video to call out a specific person. So you could call out a specific group of people, or you could record a really short video like Whitworth University did and pay a little bit to promote it with Facebook ads. So the key, once again, with a Facebook ad is that you are targeting it to the right people. You could even create a Facebook ad that says, thank you all for supporting us and liking us on Facebook, and target it to your Facebook fans. The key with Facebook ads is not to use advertising as it was traditionally used, right? And spray out a bunch of ads to kind of random strangers, because that, in my experience for nonprofits, tends to be a waste of money if it's not targeted, if it's not focused, if it's not aimed at your particular community that's interested in what you're doing. Okay. Another way that you can really deepen those relationships with donors, acknowledge them, and thank them is to create these really quick and easy online donor spotlights. This is another piece of content that you can use across all of your digital channels. You could even use it in a print newsletter. You could use it in a flyer, however you want to use it. But create this multi-channel campaign that sounds really overwhelming, but basically it is a story about a donor with some kind of visual component. I really like doing a video interview. So you could do a video interview over Skype. You could do a video overview over GoToWebinar, which is what we're using right now. You could use Google Hangouts. You could use your phone. You could use FaceTime. And then you could actually do it on a Facebook Live if you wanted. There are many, many ways that you could do this interview. And then you have that video, that piece of content, or if it's a photo and a story and an interview, you have this. You can put it on your website in your news section, your updates, your blog section. You could start a section of your website called Donor Spotlights. Then you can upload it again to social media. You can embed it and upload it into your email blast. You can turn it into various pieces of digital content, and it's really, really, it's really great. The key with Donor Spotlights, I think, is if you are not a journalist, which a lot of us are not. I am fortunate enough to have studied journalism, and I think that it served me really, really well. You have to have some kind of hook and some kind of angle to make it interesting. So I wouldn't just sort of send someone 5 questions and then verbatim paste the 5 questions and a photo on your blog. I would really try to spice it up, try to make it a little bit interesting, try to pull out maybe some kind of unique information about the person, some kind of quote that you feel would be really compelling and really interesting to people. And then try to find people that are a little bit quirky and unique and interesting that have those really great stories. Because you're not only creating this to showcase the donor, you're doing this to create a piece of content that your audience is going to want to read. And remember, and I keep saying this, at the end of the day, your goal, community building a community of donors. When I look at this donor spotlight, I say, oh, I'm like Jane. Jane and I are alike. I'm in the right place. I'm supporting the right organization. People like me are supporting this organization. I'm proud to support this organization. Every single thing that you post on social media and you post on digital and you share with your donors needs to be working towards creating that community, that sense of pride. There's a lot of way to do donor spotlights. You don't even have to do video. You could do really quick ones, photos and a quote. I love this. I photograph for Make-A-Wish because although I don't think we can be entirely sure what we are here for, if we try to make the world a better place than when we left it and help fill it with more happiness, I think that's really what it's all about. I think that's wonderful. I'm sure that your in-kind donors, your corporate sponsors have quotes like that. I'm actually on a mission to eliminate all corporate sponsor logos from social media. So how much more compelling is this? The one on the left, the Make-A-Wish one, right? They could have just taken Erin Shimazu Photography and put her logo there and said, thank you so much, Erin, for taking pictures at our event. No, that would not work for anybody. No one would look at it. Erin would not get any publicity. Your organization would not get any likes or comments. Instead, They got a little more creative. They did a tiny little bit more work, and they created this graphic, and it's just eminently more appropriate for Instagram. It's more shareable on social media, and it's so much better than a simple corporate logo. So just please don't post corporate logos, especially on Instagram. It drives me crazy, because with just a little tiny bit, like 5 minutes more work, and you could create something that's going to have so much more of an impact. And same with the George Hampton one. I love that. It's just a real verbatim quote from him, and he seems like a really friendly guy, and I'd love to read his quote. Giving anniversaries. Now, a lot of people are talking about collecting birthdays because they want to solicit people to donate their birthday for Facebook fundraising. And I understand that. I think that's completely commendable, and it's a good development goal. But if you haven't thanked this person yet or ever, then don't expect them to just jump on board and donate their birthday. I think thanking them on their 1-year giving anniversary would be a lot more impactful, and it would certainly be drive a lot more revenue than simply just asking them to fundraise for you on Facebook. So they're two sides kind of a different coin. But so some tips you can find out, hopefully, if you have some kind of database, when people gave to you. So you could run a report that shows you everybody that gave last November, or everybody that gave, we're in December, everybody that gave last December, and then send them either a special email or a special video, or if you have the bandwidth, a special thank you card that honors their 1-year giving anniversary and doesn't ask for anything else. It just says thank you. Now, studies have shown that the 6-month mark is also a really good time to do this, because donors tend to fall off the radar. They tend to unsubscribe. They tend to become disengaged at the 6-month mark if they haven't been adequately cultivated and stewarded. So potentially send them a 6-month giving anniversary. I know a lot of people that celebrate their half birthday. I didn't even know that was a thing. My aunt and I share the same birthday. It's July 9, and she said, "Oh yeah, call me on January 9 because it's our half birthday." And I was like, "I don't even know what that means," but apparently that's a thing. So you could send thank you notes or acknowledgments at their 6-month mark. And then, use whatever channel you feel is most appropriate. It's most easiest for you. But once you start doing this every month and making this a habit and making this a process, I guarantee you it'll become easier. And also, you will retain more of your donors. I don't see this ever. And I donate to quite a few charities, or I have donated to quite a few charities in my lifetime. And then I've become one of those 90% because they didn't steward me properly. But I've never seen a happy 1-year giving anniversary card or phone call or anything. I think it really could help your results. You could also create a landing page for a thank you where you send people, where you have a special video, a special message just for them. There's tons of ways you can send e-cards. You could use Canva, which is Canva. It's a free graphic design platform that you can create these thank you cards, or you could just do that in Constant Contact or MailChimp. And there's some language there. Happy 1-year anniversary to your last donation. At this time last year, I love this language. You became part of a larger movement that is helping change the narrative on North Korea. So rather than just saying thanks for giving, you became part of this movement. You are helping change the narrative. Those are really big words and big concepts, and I love that. Okay, so on the theme of building community, giving donors the information that they need to make an educated decision about whether your nonprofit is a trusted resource, to give them evidence on the accomplishments, the impact that you've shown through the last year or the last few years, however long they've donated. I think virtual Hangouts are very underutilized. We are so focused on using digital channels for promotion, 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 getting Facebook likes, running contests, building our email list, acquiring donors, running Facebook fundraisers. How can we get more website traffic? We need to be entirely more focused on community building and giving our donors resources that are helpful to them, communicating impact, giving them information about the cause. Okay, so they don't give to you, they give through you. I don't know who said that. I did not make that up. Donors give through you, they do not give to you. They give because they care about the cause, they care about the issue. So give them more information on the issue. That's really what they want. And then use any of those free and low cost tools that I talked about before. You could do a Google Hangout talking about issues in your community, issues in your region that are affecting homelessness or food insecurity or equality or equity or justice or schools. I mean, you are the expert and the go-to resource. The reason I give you money is because I trust you to know what you're doing, because I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I go to work every day. I have 2 small kids. I don't have the time to know what's going on in the cause or the issue as in depth as I would like. So I trust you to give me the resources that I need to be an educated citizen, right? So having a Google Hangout on Giving Tuesday, talking about why your community gives, having donors share their stories, having other people in your community partners share their stories, talking about what's new. What's new in breast cancer research? What do I need to know? What are like the 5 things I need to know? How can I keep my family safe? How can I saw a great Google Hangout example recently, the United Way did, how to encourage your kids to give back during the holidays. That was amazing because it's useful. It's part of their mission, but it also is making me really think, wow, United Way is pretty cool. Like, it's giving me helpful educational resources that I need. Bill and Melinda Gates do this all the time through Facebook Live. They do Q&As about their work. It's all part of their transparency, accountability, accessibility mission, but it also really showcases the work that they do, and the people that are passionate about the Gates Foundation and specific issues around their work can get their questions answered. And it brings people deeper into the cause. And that's really what we want. We get so focused on the tools and the content and the likes and the shares and the tweets that we forget it's really about building that community of donors. You want to, every single piece of communication, you want to be building that community with your donors. So using these tools, they're going to help you reach more people, because if you're doing a multi-channel campaign where you're using all the channels at your disposal, you're using email, using your website, using one social media platform, 2 social media platforms, maybe you're using ads, maybe not, it's going to help you reach more people. It's going to make you more memorable, because not a lot of organizations are doing this. You could stand out, and that's what it's all about, is really standing out, making me feel something, making me feel inspired, and like I keep saying, making me feel proud to be a part of your organization. This is going to help you not only attract more donors, but retain more donors in the long run. Okay, so I just clicked it. I think that's it. That's all that I have. So, Alex, I turn it back to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. That was informative, very interesting, and helpful. I hope everybody feels the same. Thank you.
Sure.
And next up, we're going to be hearing from Christy. So, Christy, take it away, my friend.
Thank you so much. Wow, what great information from Julia. It was really wonderful to hear that put together so easily to follow, and the importance of why we want to thank our donors. So we've put together our campaign. We've now thanked our donors. How do we take all this information and all the learnings from both our campaign and our thank you to improve our operations and our fundraising going forward? So that's what we're going to focus on for the last few minutes of today's webinar. So Julia did a great job of talking about the importance of incorporating a multi-channel campaign into the thanking. And that's the same with whether it's a campaign or a thanking. With so many messages being sent to donors, you really can't expect that they are going to see every one of them. So incorporating multiple channels increases the likelihood that they will see your message, whether it's your storytelling, whether it's an appeal, or whether it's their thank you. Email typically has about a 20% open rate, so about 1 in 5 will open the email that you sent them. With Facebook, if a person was able to see 1,500 stories in their news feed, they're really only going to see about 300. So again, it's about 20% of what's being pushed to them that they see. So this multi-channel approach really is required to break through all the other clutter and at least get a couple of your messages seen. 36% of all online revenue comes from email messaging, so that's tried and true, so you want to continue to keep that into your plan. Text messaging has a great open rate, if you will. 98% of people look at their text messages, and it does tend to increase the gift size. Social is where you actually put the social into your communication. Social media is a great place, as Julia pointed out, to thank your donors and recognize them. And then your website. And I do want to focus a quick second on your website, because while you'll have all these multi-channel campaigns through thanking or appeals, and not everybody clicks on the link that you give them at the time that you give it to them. So they might be in the car, they might be multitasking, they might see their email on your phone, but they're not in a place where they can donate right there. So they might come back later at night when they're at home, the kids are in bed, they've got their laptop, and they can donate then. Then they're going to go most likely to your website, not open up that email that you sent them or that text message, perhaps. So make sure that when your website always has a nice big visible donate button, and that the online giving experience is really easy. You don't want to lose anybody or make it difficult for them. Surprisingly, there was a study that found that 17% of orgs actually made it hard to locate the give button. Ooh, don't want to be doing that. And that 47%, almost half, had usability and navigational challenges for the donor. So again, make it really easy. Make it so that they have no problem giving to you. What do you want to consider in your multi-channel strategy is you want to understand how the various marketing channels work with the demographic and the psychographics of your donors and your supporters. And this is a tactic that you can use when you're planning fundraising campaigns and your thank you strategies. So what do I mean by all this? If you have a very young audience, you might want to be using Snapchat. That's where the young people are. If you have a very business-minded donor base, then LinkedIn could be a great option for you. You target parents and grandparents, then Facebook will be maybe one of your primary channels. Millennials and Generation Z, they're on Instagram. And pretty much everyone is on text messaging. So you can focus on which of the channels your audience is on. I wouldn't try to do all of them. That's a lot to manage. So focus on, the 2, 3, 4 that are really, and I include email in that when I say those 2, 3, and 4. If you're really successful at direct mail and sending letters, then you want to keep that up too. So, but focus on the ones that you do well, that you will keep up with, and that your donors are using. You also want to know how your donors give. Which channels do they use? Do they give online? If they do, where do they go? What do they click? How much do they give? And we can use this information to improve our campaigns going forward as well. So let's talk a little bit about campaign reporting and analytics. And before anybody drops off or eye rolls or goes to get their coffee because oh, eek, I'm not a data person, you really need to hang with me because you really can't improve unless you know where you are. And just like a sprinter can't learn to run faster if he doesn't know how fast he runs right now, or if you're a marathon runner, how do you train if you don't know how many miles are in a marathon? So you need to understand the data. And driving into work this morning, I heard somebody say, emotions lie and data tells the truth. And I thought, wow, that's really powerful, because we can all say, oh, it was a great campaign. People loved it. They loved our messaging, or a lot of people tuned into Facebook Live. But if you don't have any data to support that, that doesn't mean it wasn't really impactful and people liked it. But did you improve? Did you raise more? Did you raise more, bring in more donors? So we want to dig into that a little bit. And we've got some ways to make it easy and comfortable, even if you're not a data person. But before I get into that, I want to take a step back and talk about some key metrics, just make sure everybody understands what the definitions are when I talk about them. So an open rate is how many people opened your email. So we know we send out a mailing list, maybe our mailing list is 1,000 people. We send it out and 200 people opened it. That's a 20% open rate. Click-through rate is how many people clicked on what we wanted them to click on, whether that was a donate button, or if it was a video, or it was a form to fill out, or a quiz, or a survey, or update their contact information. So the click-through rate is how many people actually clicked and did what we asked of them to do. And that's typically a percentage of the people who opened the email in the first place in this case. So the click-through rate tends to be lower, a smaller number, I should say. And then the final one we're going to talk about is the conversion rate. So how many people actually completed what we asked of them, whether that was a donation, whether that was completing the survey or the form, or providing their updated contact information. So why all of this is important is because we can then see how well our campaigns performed and know how to tweak them going forward. And we can look at them from an account level just to see overall how is our campaign doing, or all of our campaigns doing. How much money are we raising? How many people are in our database? How many people can we contact? Here at Mobile Calls, we can also drill down to the campaign level metrics. So you can know specifically, how did my Giving Tuesday do? What were the key metrics? How many people did I touch? Year-end giving could be a different campaign. Maybe you have your own day of giving or peer-to-peer fundraising. We can drill down to the form level so you can see specifically how one particular giving page performed. And this is really important because you can test call to action. So you can have two of the same, relatively the same giving pages, but maybe you make a couple of tweaks. Maybe one has a video at the top. Maybe one has different suggested donation amounts. Maybe one has, you want to ask for all of their address and information. Another one maybe only ask for email. You only want to make one change to each of your giving pages to do a true A/B test, but you can see how they perform and see if there's one that people, your donors, gravitate towards and donate more off of. And then you can also look at your communication channel metrics. So which marketing channels are driving people to your giving pages, and how much money are they donating from those different channels. It really gives you some great insight into your campaign. And I can show you an example. Here is an analytics dashboard. This is the channel metrics that would be in the Mobile Cause platform. Some of this information you might be able to get through your Google Analytics as well. But from this dashboard, we can see that this particular campaign, they had 636 gifts, averaging just about $48, and they collected almost $31,000. So a nice, successful campaign. So let's drill down a little further into what we can find out here. 1,600 people were donated from their website, from their giving page on their website. And again, this goes back to why I said it was so important to make sure it's easy for a donor to figure out where the giving page is on your website and to complete it. So they had, almost 1,600 people landed on this page, about 500 of them completed it. So that's where we talk about the conversion rate. And so as you can see clearly that a majority of the people donated from their website. So 24,000 out of the 30,000 from this campaign was raised specifically on their website giving page. They did send out a text message. In this case, I think it was about a couple. And so we can see that 1,500 people, almost 1,600 people clicked on the link within the text message. And we had 148 people that actually completed and donated, and $6,000 was raised. So $6,000 was raised specifically from a text message. So if you are in the camp that people don't want to get text messages, they won't donate it, it's clearly not the case. People are on their phones. It's something they look at. And these people actually completed the form from the text message and donated on their device. This campaign did not do any real text to donate, but we have another one where we're going to show how that works in. So when we see all the traffic, they reached over 4,000 people. They raised the $30,000 and had 650 donate. So a really high percentage rate of both the people that saw it, clicked it, and converted. We worked here at Mobile Cause, and the digital marketing services team worked with an organization who created a one-week fundraiser in honor of one of their influencers' birthday. She's an influencer on Instagram. It was her birthday, and she was very passionate about an organization that she used to adopt a baby. So they partnered together, and she ran this, the face for this campaign. It was primarily a social media campaign, very heavy on Instagram specifically, and there was a very strong text to donate component. So almost all of the messaging had the supporters and donors text to donate into this campaign. They did an absolutely fabulous job with their messaging, their social media. They made it really clear, call to action of how to donate and get involved. They had heartfelt appeals, both written and in video. And so people really just gravitated towards it, and they had a very successful campaign. This middle post here was their post-campaign thank you, which I thought they did a fabulous job. And keeping with all the recommendations Julia made is that they acknowledged their donors. They talked about the impact that they made, and specifically they told them the success. So you can see they told everybody loud and clear they raised over $300,000 in this campaign, which was well above their goal. Everyone knew the success, and they knew they were part of it. So people walked away feeling really good about being a part of this community and about the impact that they were making for orphan children. So we can look at their analytics real quickly, and you can see that they, again, a significant portion went to the website to donate, and almost $9,000 was raised there. They drove people to the website, and about a fifth of those converted there on the website. They had a very big text to donate, and you can see that almost 21,000 people texted in to donate to this particular campaign. And they had a really great click-through rate in the sense that almost 80% clicked once they got the message, but in return clicked onto the donation page. And 8,000 of them did complete the donation, and that's where a significant part of their donations came through. So very powerful when you have all and this was a multi-channel campaign as well, so I'm showing just a couple aspects of it. But when you combine the text to give with the social media and the website, you can see some great results. Another way to use data to improve your campaigns and to potentially raise more money, and this again, you use your existing campaigns and even how people communicate with you by thanking to potentially segment your donor data. And what I mean by that is breaking your donor list into different sub-lists. So you have your master list, and then you're going to break it down into 3 or 4 sub-lists, and then you can communicate with them differently. And you can either use that by messaging or by how they donate, the ways that they engage with you or how much they donate. So some examples would be you might break your recurring donors and your one-time donors into different pools so that you can communicate with them differently. If you have a recurring donor, they're probably very well aware of you. They know what your programs are. They know what you've been up to. So you're going to give them an update of what's new in your organization, what you're looking forward to in the upcoming year, how their gift's going to be used specifically for one specific project that you want to give them an update on. A one-time donor, you might spend a little bit more time talking about who you are as an organization, who you benefit, share with them a little bit a higher level of what your goals and aspirations are. You might also segment them by first-time donors versus repeat donors. So if it's a first-time donor, you could send a, hey, thank you, we're so glad you're part of our organization. Repeat donors, you can say, we're really excited that you continue to support us, and here's why that's so meaningful and impactful for us. You can also segment your donors by giving level. So you might look at them as high, low, and medium, or maybe there's a threshold. Anybody that donated above $500 might have different messaging, different thank yous, different communications than the people who continue to donate less than that. So these are all up to you, but using this data enables you to really target and communicate in a more meaningful and impactful way with your donors. And one organization did exactly that. They did same communication for their Giving Tuesday, but they had 3 different donor segment lists and 3 different giving pages. And the pages were the same with the exception of the suggested donation amounts. So we called it a lower and a mid and a higher level. So depending upon how much the donor had given in the past, they were either driven to the lower level giving form, the middle level, or the higher level. And again, the only thing that was different was the suggested donation amount. And you can see that it really helped to raise more money from their campaign because on average, the lower level donation form raised $54 per donor. The mid and higher level donation forms raised $190 per donation. So if they had given all the same donation levels, would they have raised as much, or would they have been able to get that average up higher? Because there is some level of persuasiveness of those suggested donation amounts, which is why we put them on there. But if you have different people with different giving levels and you're sending them all to the same one, how is that impacting their donation amount? Maybe they're donating less or me. So this is a way to combat that. So it's pretty significant different when you look at the 2 and 3 donation pages that one was averaging 54 and one got up to 190. And 40% of the donations came from that mid-level donation form. So a significant amount of their donors were being driven to that mid-level donation form. So really impactful way to potentially raise more money without doing a lot of extra work. So what is the takeaway from all this information that I just shared with you? And it's really using reporting and analytics to define your strategy for thanking your donors and crafting your future campaigns. So you can use those marketing channels that performed well. Even when thanking your donors, you can see how they have interacted and communicated with you in the past and use that as your thank you channel. There's a reminder, not all messages will be seen, so there's a multi-channel approach that works for thanking and acknowledging as well as asking and appealing and updating. You can use this data to focus on channels that performed best for campaign types and improve those that didn't. So maybe certain marketing channels worked really well for Giving Tuesday, but you need to tweak them for year-end or your Day of Giving or your capital campaign. You can use your data to incorporate new channels into your campaigns. Maybe there's some channels you're not using that you should be. You can use it to test the waters and then expand into it as you see how it works and improves and converts. You can use your data to understand how many touches it takes to convert a follower into a donor, so you know the cadence of communication you should be using. You can use it to see what channels bring in higher donations. So if you get higher donations on text, maybe you send a text before the email and get people to donate there first and then follow up with an email in your multi-channel approach. And that's a great way to consider using donor segmentation. So you can target your donors and how you are going to drive them to your giving page. And you can use your behavioral data to thank donors in more meaningful and impactful ways. So while for anybody that's more creative and emotionally, sometimes data can be a little bit scary, but it really is powerful to help you scale your fundraising and take your cause to a whole new level. Back to you, Alex.
Excellent. Thank you, Christy. So as a quick reminder, if you haven't yet, please submit any questions you may have into the questions box on your control panel. And before we jump into Q&A, I have one last poll for us to launch. And we're curious, what methods do you plan to include in your 2019 donor thank you strategy? You can select all that apply here and hit submit. The options are digital tools, social media, reporting insights, data segmentation, and a multi-channel approach. So select all that apply to you in terms of what you think you will employ next year, and go ahead and hit submit. I'll leave this open just for another few seconds here so we have some time to get into Q&A. Let me close this out, and I'll share the results with you. So it looks like the winner, it was multi-channel approach, and a close, well, not so close second, social media, followed by data segmentation, digital tools. Okay, excellent. So let's pivot for a moment into Q&A. We'll answer any questions that have been submitted. So checking our Q&A panel here, our first question today is for Julia. So if it has been a long time since the original gift was given, is there a point in time where it's too late to make that acknowledgement? The example here is we only recently started having a thank you strategy, and I discovered a couple donors who slipped through the cracks about 6 months ago. What is the best thing to do in this case?
Oh, I think it's actually a really good opportunity to make yourself stand out. So what I would do is I would just send a "we're so sorry," "we're so sorry" letter, write a thank you note and say, we're so sorry that we neglected to thank you for your gift. You're very important to us. Here's some of the things that you might have missed out on since your last gift. Here's some new stuff we're working on. Use it as an opportunity to just, rekindle that flame and make that connection again. And the person, you might lose them, or they might say, "Oh, wow, yeah, I remember that organization," and they might really appreciate that touch point. But I would definitely send either a handwritten letter or a letter from your executive director, or even a phone call.
Excellent, thank you. And next question up here is for Christy. So there's a lot of talk around data and insights, and I'm just not sure how to dig into that data right away. Do you have any guidance for getting started there?
Sure, it can be a little daunting, but again, I really encourage everybody to get in and look. And you can start with exporting some of your donations to an Excel spreadsheet and sort it and do averages, and you can sort it by highest to lowest or lowest to highest, and see if there's a natural break where the giving levels change, and kind of see how you might want to put your donors into different groups. Start small. Don't try to figure out the whole thing, but just get comfortable in looking at the data and breaking into who are your repeat donors and your recurring givers versus your one-time. Find out when the last time that the person gave for the one-time donors, and that all these answers might create new strategies and opportunities for you. So maybe start with just a campaign instead of looking at your whole donor database, and export that information. If you don't have an analytics tool or you're not using MobileCause, export that into an Excel spreadsheet and just start digging around.
Yeah, excellent idea. So in the purposes of time, if you haven't had any questions, or if you have had questions that haven't been answered yet, please email those to marketing@mobilecause.com. All right. So that's about all the time we have for today. If you're interested in discovering how to accelerate your fundraising and donor engagement programs, please fill out the post-webinar survey. That's going to pop up in your browser once you leave the event. Or if you'd like to speak directly to a MobileCause expert, you can call or visit www.mobilecause.com. That all being said, thanks to our presenters, and a huge thank you to each of you for attending. Yes, you're welcome. And have a wonderful rest of your week, and happy holidays, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye.